It was billed as a bold new strategy for the State of Israel to break the deadlock in its conflict with the Palestinians.
On the question of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, Israel doesn't have an agreed, consolidated national strategy. The time has come to take our fate into our own hands and guarantee the future of the Jewish national home.
But the three party leaders who came poured cold water on the INSS political plan.
I disagree with the plan or some fundamentals of the plan.
A strategy launched by one of Israel's premier think tanks, not a solution, but a political ways guiding Israel out of a dead end to begin the process of separating from the Palestinians. If the status quo is unsustainable, but a full peace treaty is unattainable.
We want to get a move on. We think we need to start moving to prove we're decisive. We're not waiting around. We're not living in a fantasy world. We want to move to a world of action. So we start with action.
It aims to redraw the map, literally. Down the middle of the West Bank, a contiguous stretch of Palestinian territory. Next to it, more land for Palestinian economic development under Israeli control. 65% of the West Bank, 98% of the Palestinian population. Israel would continue to build in the settlement blocks beyond the Green Line, but the settlers in the isolated settlements would be encouraged to relocate back into Israel or the big blocks, and in the Jordan Valley, a security zone. But Israel's contenders for Prime Minister preferred to stick to their own plans. Naftali Bennett, leader of the religious nationalist Jewish Home Party, slamming the plan for making concessions that would endanger Israel's security.
When you boil it down, in the end you're talking about freezing construction outside the settlement blocks and transferring more and more control and governance in Area C to the Palestinians. I can't see the good news. I'll continue insisting we won't transfer more territories to the Arabs, and we won't establish another Palestinian state.
Yair Lapid, leader of the centrist Yesh Atid, also rejected the plan, saying he didn't want to give away chips that Israel should use in negotiations.
I am totally against anything which is unilateral. It has to come through a regional negotiation. It has to come through the regional conference. What we need is an non-final agreement between two states. I think that's the best we can achieve right now.
Opposition leader Tzipi Livni of the Zionist Union Party still believing she can reach a deal with the Palestinians, but keeping the door open to the new plan as a plan B.
If there's a possibility to end the conflict the next day, let's do it. But if we have problems, let's take some steps toward this in keeping the road for an agreement in the future open and taking some steps that would start the process of dividing ourselves from the Palestinians instead of annexation. We are separating ourselves from the Palestinians, hopefully in a peace process. If there is no partner on the other side for now, traffic jam. Let's find a way to move forward.
The Israeli-Palestinian conflict is stuck, and so is Israel's national debate, not because ideas are lacking, but because they're in surplus. Eylon Levy, I-24 News.
And Eylon's with me now in studio. Eylon, this is often a common thing with think tanks. These are really interesting, innovative ideas, but is it dead in the water? Does it end with just the plan, or can this actually go anywhere?
Not at all, Jeff. Look, the organizers like to use the metaphor of a political ways that would guide Israel towards a two-state solution, and to extend that metaphor, none of the party leaders want to take that route, but they're not a million miles away from it either. And Naftali Bennett obviously discarded it completely. He's in favor of annexation of parts of the West Bank. He doesn't support it. But the Israeli center-left leaders were actually open-minded. Listen carefully to what Tzipi Livni said. She said she still believes that she can reach an agreement with the Palestinians, she can negotiate peace with them. But she said, if it proves impossible to do that, then Israel will have to consider other options such as these. Note, the INSS says it's impossible to reach a deal with the Palestinians. She says, I haven't given up hope. Yesh Atid as well. Yesh Atid is talking about a non-final agreement they hope Israel can reach with the rest of the Arab world that will include a Palestinian state, but one in which they think Israel will still have freedom of maneuver for its army on the territory of that Palestinian state. That's exactly what the INSS is proposing, except Lapid thinks he's going to be able to get this not unilaterally, but by an agreement with the Arab world. So if you listen closely, Israel's center and center-left are not a million miles away from this plan, even though none of them are rushing to adopt it and say, yes, I'm putting this in my manifesto.
All right, it's something to be explored, certainly moving forward.
Absolutely,
Eylon, thanks so much. Great.